My name is Florian, also known as flognity on YouTube.
My name is Christopher Russell. I'm a content creator originally from the US, but since about 2016, I'm based out of Germany.
My name is Chirag and I moved here in Canada in 2016. So I come from India and I moved here to do masters in mechanical engineering at University of New Brunswick.
So why did you move to Germany? What was the main reason?
Reasons, am I right? No, actually, the short answer to this question, one that encompasses every individual reason, is ease of lifestyle. That's the short answer. While in the US, I basically worked so much and so hard that I felt like life was happening around me and I was basically missing it. Amazing public transportation, Ruhezeit, which is basically quiet hours, more or less enforced on Sundays and later evenings during the week. And also one of the things is integrity and honor. When I noticed how something as simple as this is just a zum Beispiel, for example, something like those candy vaults, you know those little candy vaults that sit on the side of the sidewalk with the candies in it, you put the coin in it, you can get either a toy or candy, something like that, or maybe even like the sidewalk cigarette machines. When I noticed that those things can just live here and nobody vandalizes them or steals them or destroys them, it's that little bit of honor and integrity that carries a long way when it comes to me. Not only that though, like train rides, pretty much they trust that you'll buy a ticket whether someone will be there to verify it or not. They trust that you'll get a ticket.
The main reason is I wanted to do research. It's very competitive to get into a good school. So I did my research and I found out there was a really good university where I could go and do research.
I seeked a different lifestyle because the Canadian lifestyle is more relaxed and laid back than the German one, and it's not so much based on following a certain path that's being laid out for you. Canada is more relaxed and laid back in terms of they are open-minded to new ideas and different ways of living, but also the nature is just amazing. That's just beautiful here. How was life and your experience in the first few days when you moved?
First few days here are kind of a blur. I mean, because it was just, like I said just a second ago, it's there was so much to see. It was just there was so much overstimulation that my mind didn't have much time to process many things, you know?
First few days, I would say, was overwhelmingly underwhelming. Back in India, whenever I saw Canada or USA, we were always shown the skyline of Toronto or Vancouver. When I landed in New Brunswick, which is a very small town of 50,000 people, and it had all the buildings, which is pretty much flat, like one floor. Even if you have biggest business center, they're just one floor, really wide. I just expected skylines and stuff. But yeah, overall it was good.
Initial challenges were unique to my case because I came here still during the pandemic, so there was lots of things being shut down. But in general, just getting used to little differences, like pastry-wise, bread-wise, baking-wise, has way too much sugar in it and ingredients that shouldn't even be in there, like lots of unhealthy ingredients. It's better here than in the United States, but it doesn't mean it's good. Did your expectation meet the reality, or was there a discrepancy?
I think it's lived up to reality. I don't think, I haven't seen anything thus far that would change how I first experienced it. Obviously, living here longer, you do start to see more things as you become more comfortable. My eyes aren't shooting around wondering oh my gosh, everything's so new anymore. Now I can take my time and gather more things, now that I'm so integrated. Like I said, almost 10 years now. But it doesn't reverse what I felt initially about honor and integrity in the country.
I'm pretty happy that I moved here. Everything is working out so far for me. Can you think of the greatest challenge you had?
The greatest challenges were the language barrier, first off, which is probably by far the toughest thing to deal with.
My first or second language is not English. So English was a tough one to conquer. So after living here for a year or so, I practiced a lot. I hanged around with local people a lot. So you pick up the slangs, you pick up the way they talk about things. And yeah, eventually it become really easy, yes. And of course the cold. I come from sort of relatively hot part of India, from Gujarat. Here it's pretty much cold 6 months, 7 months. And that was one of the most difficult thing to get used to.
I guess another challenge is adjusting to not having many options for conveniences. I worked a lot when I was in the States, and mostly on night shift. So I grew used to being able to like buy food, for example, at 3 in the morning if I needed to, right? Or if I needed an accessory or a tool or a haircut even, I could skip to where it's found very easily because I was used to just the abundance of accessibility. That just ain't the case here. Don't expect to buy anything after like 2100, 9 o'clock at night. The last challenge, I would say, was getting used to not being constantly on the go. Boom, 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 go, go, go. For a while, I literally felt like I wasn't doing something maybe I was supposed to be doing when I was living here. I just felt like I wasn't doing something because life had slowed down just that much.
Just getting used to little differences, just navigating through them and figuring out why is it different, what's the difference here. The country is different from your own country, most likely. It's a different culture, a different lifestyle. It's going to be hard no matter what for an immigrant to find your way in a new country. How did you get used to the culture in Germany?
The main thing I would say helped me get used to the culture was being open-minded. If someone wants something bad enough, they will actively practice to learn to reduce their defenses and open their mind up to new things, basically. It has to be understood that most people are going to be uncomfortable in a new culture. Like, expect that. Not every transition will be seamless. Not every adjustment will be painless. You likely will struggle somewhere. And I was fortunate enough to grasp that concept early on. That for sure helped me to get used to this new culture, just staying open-minded.
In order to get used to the culture, the few things I did was I never missed any of the event. I helped out a lot of friends, a lot of my peers, and then you invite them for food, you go out, you hang out, right? And that's how you build connections slowly by slowly. Observe the differences between your culture, their culture, pick up their culture, sort of throw yourself into their culture, right? Absorb it as much as you can. Like, for example, when I was in New Brunswick, I didn't know much about like Thanksgiving, Easter or anything, right? So what would I do is I go to my friends, ask their parents or them about what's the festival, what's the significance behind it. And especially if they happen to be from that religion that the festival is from, they love when you ask questions, right? Because you are curious, they want to tell everything about themselves and their religion. You sort of get the sense of how people work in that community, in that country, and you just become part of it.
Did you experience any culture shocks?
They weren't hard to overcome for me. I basically can just talk about things. I overcame a lot of the stuff that was new to me and different to me just by talking about them. I would bring things up to my coworkers or family and we'd chop it up with each other, and you know, you'd be surprised that after getting something out there and not holding on to it and misunderstanding all to yourself, how much that frees up your mind and just opens you up to other things. Once you grab a hold of something and understand it a little bit better, you don't fear it or you don't sweat it as much. And I guess I overcame these things eventually by just finding a way to talk about it. If I couldn't do that, then I make content. Make content about it. So one way or another, I had to talk about it.
Coming from a community where people are very family oriented, here life is very individualistic, but there are pros and cons. So back then I never had time to think for myself. Now I do have, like I do spend more time doing activities I love, the career I want to focus on. At the same time, you do miss the parts of the culture of the community itself. To overcome that, basically what I did is every city you go into, you have people like you, meaning people who have moved from somewhere else, who also are looking to make some connections. So those are the easiest people to hang out with, like to make friends with.
Do you have any tips on making friends in a new country?
No.
No, that's pretty hard.
No, oh man, that's a tricky one. It really is.
But befriending the Germans is sort of a task, all right? And I don't mean this in a rude way, but it's sort of a task. Firstly, 9 times out of 10, the Germans will not be the ones to initiate any kind of friendship or, you know, opening up in that way. If they don't already know you from like childhood or, you know, haven't talked to you in the neighborhood or a festival or something, they likely won't be the ones to initiate with the foreigner, the expat. That makes it difficult because, after all, in situations like that, you, meaning the foreigner, the expat, are the visitor. So you're already apprehensive about everything in this whole new land. You're already overburdened with figuring out so many things, and now you have to be the one to say, "Hi, my name is," too. It's just, I don't know, it could be overburdening at times. Most of my friends have come in the form of other foreigners. It was easier acquiring friends that could relate to me and actually knew what I was going through, and having the same exact things we can talk about. That made it a little bit easier to have acquaintances.
And also, me and my wife, we do like to cook for people. So we cook a lot of food, and whenever you feed some people, they are not going to say no to good food. So that's how you sort of start making connections.
That's actually a big one that's difficult, like not just for moving to a different country, but in general, even in your home country, that's a difficult thing, making friends. The easiest thing actually, what helps a lot is making connections through work, talking to people, hanging out with people from work, because you interact with them every day. So it's easier to make friends at work. Another way is just being out there, attending events, trying to talk to as many people as possible. For me personally, I think it's easier here because Germans are pretty hard to get to know too. Germans are like coconuts and Americans are like peaches. Someone said that in the internet. Coconuts are hard from the outside, really hard to get to know. But once you're on the inside, it's all soft, and they're all welcoming and nice. And Americans are more like peaches. They are soft from the outside and squishy. It's easy to get to know them, but really hard to get to the core. Like really hard to get a real close friend. I feel like that's true. Like it's easy to get to know people here. Yeah. But it's hard to get to a point where you are close friends. For me personally, it makes it easier to make friends because you can just talk to lots of people and make superficial friends in the beginning. You just have to work on it to keep those friends.
Sometimes people are good at some skills, like you might know some sports really well, so you can help out somebody who is willing to learn, and so that they will learn, you will make a new friend, and basically doing the activities that you want to do. Like for example, after coming here, I picked up skiing, and that actually helped me a lot to get new friends, right? Like get into the groups and stuff. Yeah.
Do you ever feel homesick, especially with the behavior of how hard it is to get to know new Germans?
Very often at first. Being away from family was tough. I dealt with it by just staying in contact as much as I could. I mean, what else are you gonna do? I used to think that I needed to visit the US like every year or two. Oh, I'll be back home next year. I'll go back next year. Like I needed to get some sort of, comfort fix or something. But I got over that pretty quickly. Eventually I was able to understand that this is actually home now. This is my comfortable.
I still do feel homesick once in a while, but it's the fact that you have to accept that feeling, that you are feeling homesick. You are not feeling depressed. Sometimes, we do confuse that I don't know what I'm going through. I'm just feeling sad or whatever. It's most of the time it's just homesick. You're just being homesick. And then for that, I give a call to my family and just be upfront about it. By the way, I'm just feeling down today, so they'll try to cheer me up. Or I just talk to a friend. You go watch a movie, and you can just be open about it.
Once I settled down, it took me about a year until I felt homesick for the first time. I actually made a list. I wrote it down. What is it that I miss? Why am I homesick? And I made a list of all the things that I miss. And then I tried to figure out, can I get those things here? Can I do those things here? And then I figured most of the things I could do here, just not in the exact place where I live. I just have to drive to the next city or something like that. The list that was remaining were the true things that I missed about Germany, and most of them were related to family, just not seeing family. I'm video calling them, so I think the only way of getting around this is knowing they're still there, they're doing well, but it helped me a lot to just write it down and narrow down what are the things that I truly miss, to not have this overwhelming feeling of like, oh, this and this and that. All the experiences you had in Germany, did it actually change your mindset and how you treat life and work and your culture?
It's definitely opened my eyes to all of those things.
My concept of working has definitely shifted. No longer do I think it's the only thing that matters. You know, I don't wake up in the morning to hurry up and get to work so that I can, you know what I mean? It's not the only thing that matters to me by far anymore. I'll never work so much that I miss the things that really make life worth living. I'll never go back to that. As for culture, I understand in depth that there are many. What I had known of different cultures before moving had been ridiculously skewed. As far as life itself, the ease of lifestyle that I mentioned earlier, having here, and the slower pace of everyday living, these have been enough to shift life itself into being more enjoyable for me.
Especially living in a small town it's so nice. Like, people are nice. You do have a feeling of the team. Like, you do feel like you belong in a team. The best thing I liked about Canada is people here do take time and they do focus on themselves. Like, they'll do the activities they enjoy. They are not just after money all the time. Actually pushing each other to be better of version of yourself or achieve better things in life. So that's one thing I just love here.
Do you have any advice for new expats or people who want to move to a different country?
The best advice I can give
is to try to never be discouraged. Or if you do get discouraged, don't rest there. Don't expect to feel like you've made a mistake, because things happen, and it happens to everyone, right? Things will settle.
First of all, keep an open mind. Like, when you're moving to a different country, definitely the things are going to be different.
Yeah, if you just see stuff on TV or in videos, that's not how your life is going to be, because videos are just the best of the best, or the TV show is just a fake life you see there. It's not how the actual life is going to be here. It's going to be hard to make a living. It's going to be hard no matter where you go. You have to have a drive. You have to be passionate about something. Canada is not going to solve all your problems just because you move to a different country. If you move to a different country, you carry the problems with you. You have to be willing to adapt to the culture here. And I think the reason why you move to Canada is because you like the country, not because you think the life is going to be easier here. Do you have any advice on being successful in the new place you're in?
I think it requires a welcoming kind of mindset. So many things will come your way at once when doing this. Some things you'll love, some you won't. But you'll need to have some kind of welcoming mindset to all the things, right?
Again, being open-minded, not judging other country or how people live in other country based on how you grew up or how your country is, because their experience is different than yours. Being in their shoes and understanding why certain things are important to them versus you, right? And just being a good human being, and say hi to people. Some people won't be nice to you, it's okay. Or focus on the people who are nice to you and want to be friends with you.
I think that's the most important one, just being open-minded and driven to actually be successful in the country you are in, and not just getting set in your ways. If this is coming from you, that you want to move to a different country, I would assume that you already have a big drive of being successful or changing your current situation. So I think from that point of view, if you choose to move to a different country, I believe you already have a better baseline to start off being successful in a new country, because you just have to continue to be open-minded and being driven in achieving your goals.